Yeah, it's the process that you need. It's like kind of like a Buddhist thing, right? Like you can't be attached to the end result. You have to be in love with the process. And like that is loving sobriety on a daily basis.
But how important was it for you to go out and get that recovery job?
Well, somebody said something to me and it really clicked. It's a couple months for the rest of your life, or maybe 6 months or a year for the rest of your life. And that includes everything, you know, and the recovery job is a part of that. And if you can't, I just can only speak for myself, but like there was no providing for anybody if I didn't get the help that I needed and really go all in. And that included that recovery job. And, you know, it gave me confidence. And to this day, I carry it with me. It gave me humility. It is like a superpower in a sense where, you know, again, humility is like a daily reprieve, right? You practice it, but like, I can relate to people better now. I just like, it really taught me a lot. And it taught me a lot about how fortunate I am to be sober. But yeah, it gave me such perspective, dude, that I just did not have before. And it was such an incredible part of my journey and a thread that still goes through it today. I mean, and I'm not overstating it. It was everything for me. It was a huge change because it was the first very difficult thing I committed to. I mean, I had to go to rehab. I mean, I had to, like, all this stuff. I didn't really have much of a choice in it if I wanted to live. But this, I was like, well, I'm willingly going to take this. I don't know. At least I thought I was making my own decisions. But it was a major league shift in my thinking, right? It was the next thing to do that was suggested of me. And it was pretty big and it was hard. You know, I mean, I can remember thinking, like, if somebody comes off I-95 that I used to work with in the NBA and comes to order chicken, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. You know, like that, I would be consumed with that. You know, my ego would be like, whatever. Now it's like the first thing I tell people, you know, it's like, I'm really proud of it because it's part of my journey. I wear it like a badge of honor.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, driving for Uber, I remember driving and picking people up that I knew, and very humbling, very humbling. It was and today I see those people around and it's like, oh man, I remember I drove him when I was driving for Uber. Yeah. And it's just,
and sometimes they're not in the best shape and you think, wow, it's funny how it works out. You know, I'll tell this last thing about the recovery job. I was you know, you weren't allowed to get rides with anybody when you lived in the recovery house. So you would always walk wherever you're going. And your sponsor could drive you, but I was walking back to the recovery house from KFC in my KFC uniform. It's pouring rain. And this dude from an AA meeting like pulls over, like totally cool dude. He's like, yo man, get in the car. I'm like, oh, I can't ride. He's like, dude, get in the car. You know, it's pouring rain. I get in the car and he's driving me this like short distance home, but it's like thundering. And he just looked at me and he was kind of laughing. He goes, dude, I swear. He goes, dude, I swear it gets better. You know, it's like, yeah. And I always remember that because it's gotten so much better, much better. So anyways, I live with the guy from recovery. I'm just deep in the woods of recovery, in the best woods possible. I mean, I live with another sober guy for about 18 months. I'm going to meetings all over because I'm living in North Jersey, right by New York City. So I'm going to meetings in Hoboken. I'm going to meetings in Jersey City, and I'm loving it. Recovery is who I am. And then I start to get opportunities that I had previously thought I would never get again or never even get because I had gone so far down the rabbit hole. I started calling games for the NBA G League. I started to just do all kinds of jobs broadcasting wise, just because I knew after that KFC experience too, that like I wasn't better than anything, you know what I mean? Like, and I knew how to kind of hone my craft, and I followed suggestions. People said, you need to work here, you know, or that was the next right thing to do, the next indicated thing. I would do it. And I ended up back in Charlotte working for the Hornets. You know, a story I tell because it's worth telling is when I was in my addiction in my last like year or two, I was working for the Hornets. I was doing radio for the Hornets, and I woke up the day of a playoff game and I did what we do. You know, I started to do drugs, and then at the playoff game, I wasn't feeling myself. You know, the drugs were worn off. And, you know, Michael Jordan, who owns the team, is walking by me to get to his seat on the bench, like right next to the bench. And he doesn't know me, but he recognized me. I work for the team, you know, so he gives me like, I didn't see him, but he goes by me and he kind of pats me on the back, like just to kind of, hey, maneuver around. I'm going over here, like totally cool. But like, I was like, oh my God. Like I was like just totally shocked because I'm all tweaked.
To get a free copy of the 12-step guide that I created for you, click on the link in the description below.
You know, and it's the greatest player of all time, like kind of like giving me a nice, like, hey, slip aside so I can go to my seat. It's the playoffs, which I'd always wanted to work in basketball. I'd always wanted to be a broadcaster. All these things that I should be so excited about and living in the moment and thriving. And Tim, all I wanted was to get out of there and have like a vodka tonic. You know what I mean? Or just like I needed a drink. I needed to settle down. Mm-hmm. And like I remember even then thinking like, wow, this is like this blows. So then I'm sober, like 4 years sober. I get a job with the Hornets again. I'm back in the arena, and Michael Jordan is walking with another guy, and he goes by me again, and he's like, she's so cool. He walks so fast. He's like the super famous walk, like you could never catch him if you wanted to. He's just like, well, so he was doing another one of those things where he's walking so fast, and the guy, I knew the guy that was with him, and the guy's like, hey, Pete. And Michael's like, hey, what's up, Pete? And he pats me on the back. And I remember thinking, now I'm 4 years sober, and I'm like, I got another chance. Yeah. You know, I did my part, but I got another chance. Like, and that was a lot of times for me when I was really, and I'm still pretty damn dialed in with sobriety and seeing things now. But like, there have been so many little God winks along the way. Like, you're doing the right thing, dude. Like, even when you're having the worst time, you know, but you show up, you do the right thing. And I've always been a meeting maker. There's way more to it than that. I know, but like for me, the camaraderie and the tip of the cap to God by going out of your way to go to a 12-step meeting is pretty important. And what I find in those meetings is like a wellspring to everything else. You know, that's where I find my sponsors. That's where I find my service commitments. A lot of times that's where I find God for that day, you know? And again, it's a thread that's way more than just meetings, but for me, that's a huge part of it. So I've always been kind of a meeting maker, and it can, I heard a guy say once, like, if I'm not going to meetings for a couple of days, I start to feel it. But if I don't go to meetings for like a week or so, like everybody around me starts to feel it, you know? And that's kind of, I will bring that component a little bit. But yeah, things like really started to take off. I worked in television. Go ahead.
You know what I'm just thinking about as you're talking about all these amazing things that have happened as a result of sobriety. What I'm also hearing is that you didn't have the expectation. And that's kind of my experience. It's because I've seen people that are like, I'm sober now. Why don't you forgive me? I'm sober now. Why isn't my life better? Why aren't these things happening? And that's the thing is with sobriety, it's kind of like you do the next right thing. God's still in control. But if I do the next right thing, I keep my side of the street clean, things start to happen. I don't exactly know how it's going to play out. You didn't know, you didn't have the expectation that Michael Jordan was going to be cool the way he was.
No. Yeah.
And that's the secret. That's the key is you can't have the expectation.
Yeah, it's the process that you need. It's like kind of like a Buddhist thing, right? Like you can't be attached to the end result. You have to be in love with the process. And like that is loving sobriety on a daily basis. And you're so right, because I know the moment I get over my skis and have an expectation, I'm getting ready to get knocked on my ass. I mean, it's true. Yeah. Whether it's of another person, of a corporation, of a family member, whatever it is, you know, I will, you know, be humbled. And so the key for me is you stay close to recovery. It keeps me right-sized. I don't take myself too seriously, and I'm able to deal with all kinds of crap that comes my way, because that's what comes in life. I mean, you know, it's not that easy. Life is not that easy. But being sober for me makes it far more manageable and way more enjoyable.
If you got value from this video, if you heard what you needed to hear, be sure to like it. Comment if you've got a question or you have something to say. Subscribe to the channel. Camelback Recovery provides treatment services for people struggling with mental health, mental illness, addiction, alcoholism, whatever it may be. So if you or a loved one is struggling and you need some guidance and you need some direction, reach out to us. Our contact information is down below, or you can go to our website, camelbackrecovery.com, whether it be detox, inpatient treatment, outpatient treatment, sober living, recovery coaching, sober companion services, whatever it may be, like I said, we can either help you or make sure that you get sent in the right direction. We help people all over the country, all over the world for that matter. I'll see you on the next video.